video, I'm sharing 3 brushstroke exercises that you can do with a round tip brush to practice brush control when painting with watercolors. So for the first brushstroke exercise that we're going to do, it's going to be drawing straight, controlled lines across the page. You want to hold your brush almost pointing straight up to the ceiling, but not quite. Just make sure that you can touch the paper lightly and only barely touch it so that when you drag your hand across the paper, you end up with a very, very thin line. So what you want to do is move your entire hand and not just your wrist, and that's going to get you a consistent line all the way across. You can see that what I'm doing is playing with the variation of strokes. So you can start with thin, press a little bit harder to get thicker, use a little bit more pressure, and so on. By the very end, I'm pressing fully down on the brush and pulling a very consistent line all the way across. This is a great first exercise to try when you're starting out with brush control. Now for the second exercise, you're going to want to vary the pressure between a thin stroke and a full pressure stroke, which is the difference between the first stroke we tried in the thin line exercise and then the very last line where I held down full pressure as I made a line. So this is about varying the pressure between thin and thick lines. And so what you want to do is start with a light touch and you drag your paintbrush across the tip of the paper, and then you gradually press down into a full pressure stroke, and then you lift up gradually into a light thin line stroke, and again into a full pressure stroke, and lift up lightly and end in a thin line. I like doing this exercise varying how I start and end, so it makes kind of an interesting pattern. So in this line, I started very full pressure and then lifted up to get a thin stroke and repeated that again. Like the first exercise, you're going to want to make sure that you're gliding your entire hand across the paper and not just your wrist. This is a really good exercise to practice now, not only consistency, pulling your hand across the paper, but also lifting and pressing down your brush as you're moving. So the last exercise has a couple different strokes you can practice, but they all use the same idea. And practicing all of these in varying forms is going to help you really understand the control of like twisting your brush and moving it in different directions once you have it down on the paper. So you can see as I'm going along that these strokes, they either start with a very light touch, which is a thinner tip, and then move into a full pressure stroke, or they start with a thicker full pressure stroke using more of the tip of the brush on its side, and then it lifts up into like a very, very light line. And so I think this delicacy in handling the brush, even with a thin line that curves left and a thin line that curves right, is a nice way to get a handle on your brush control. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful. If you happen to try any of the exercises, make sure to comment below and let me know how you did. If you want to see more and you think I'm on the right track, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thanks, bye.